Gentleman from Massachusetts is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. I yield myself such time as I might consume.
Gentleman's recognized.
Mr. Speaker, this pandemic has been ruthless. We are delivering much-needed help and relief to millions of our fellow Americans. In a few minutes, this chamber will pass and then send to President Biden a monumental piece of legislation that will begin to turn the tide of an unprecedented health and economic crisis. In the 33 years that I have served in this House, I don't know that I will ever cast a more important vote than what we are about to do, and of such great consequence. We heard the American people, and we went big. We proudly contributed substantial solutions that will strengthen our recovery from this virus and rebuild our economy to work better for all Americans. To contain the public health crisis and make health coverage more accessible, we are making the largest expansion of the Affordable Care Act since it was enacted. We are bringing down the cost for jobless Americans, saving them thousands of dollars in health insurance costs and more. We will also include assistance for nursing homes that are desperate to contain this virus. We are going to help those struggling to stay afloat by putting cash in their pockets, simultaneously creating liquidity and demand. And for the jobless, we extend federal unemployment benefits to keep them afloat for the better days that lie ahead. We have made 3 key tax credits for low and middle-income workers and families more generous, more flexible, and more capable of tackling the inequality and concentrated wealth that exists in our country. And we already know that a key to our recovery will be giving parents the tools to go back to work, even though their previous child care may have been upended. We will ease their worries by making child care more accessible and indeed more affordable. The child credit will lift millions out of poverty. The expanded earned income tax credit will put money into the pockets of the lowest income workers. Listen to this following statistic. All in all, there will be an increase in after-tax income for the poorest 20% of Americans by increasing their income by 20%. That is a staggering achievement. It is a life-changing achievement. Lastly, we have also made a long overdue fix to multi-employer pension programs that will protect hard-earned savings of workers, many of whom have been on the front lines of this crisis. These are people who have played by the rules, served our country in the military, and worked day in and day out with the promise of a secure retirement, not to have it pulled from under them. And I would remind all that 30 Republicans on 2 separate occasions have voted for this bill as a standalone measure. When I heard a previous speaker say this was a bailout, it's a backstop. We are not creating a narrative talking about changing lives. We are going to do it with this legislation. This legislation has the support of economists from the left, the right, and the center. This is about the power of ideas, but because it's what the American people want also. Let me be clear. The American people, regardless of political affiliation, overwhelmingly support this package because they know what is in it is badly needed to get to the other side of the crisis. I regret that the overwhelming support that I've just described has not been translated into unity in this chamber. This is bipartisan in America, even if it's not bipartisan in this chamber. Our colleagues on the other side have deemed workers who saw their entire industries evaporate perhaps unworthy of this moment. They've deemed working parents perhaps unworthy of this moment. And they have deemed the working and middle-class American family perhaps at this moment unworthy. I don't understand it. Instead, there has been a lot of talk about this package being too large and too expensive. But if there was ever a time to go big, this should be it. I seem to recall that my colleagues found that wealthy Americans and big corporations were worth the size of their tax cut. So why not working and middle-class families who are facing a health and economic crisis unlike anything the nation has experienced in more than a century? I actually have some charts that I think highlight the difference today. We have 2 comparisons of who benefits from the American Rescue Plan and who benefited in the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. This is pretty apparent. Pretty obvious to all who might discern in this moment. As you can see, the benefits that my colleagues across the aisle will oppose today go directly to working-class Americans. However, with the next chart, you can look at their package, and it was nearly the same size, and by the way, they borrowed $2.3 trillion for it, that had overwhelmingly support from their side of the aisle, but look who the benefits went to. The evidence is overwhelming as to who the benefits went to. This package is nearly the same size as what they did, but the impact of what we're about to do will be extraordinary. Multiple reports highlighted how the tax cuts bill did not, as the proponents claimed, grow the economy or indeed, great hoax, paying for itself. That never happened. And yet they continue to stand behind a law that put the powerful and the wealthy first, and they dismiss what we're about to do today. Hardworking Americans have been for too long left behind, and that ends today. This bill will save lives and livelihoods. We will help families stay housed, put food on the table, and access affordable health care. Most importantly, this package will help families avoid impossible choices.
We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead. Number one, subscribe to our channel, and number two, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.